Are we done yet? Have we finished beating this undead horse? Has this zombified cow been fully milked yet? I mean, okay, just to make things clear, I mean, I'm sure all of you regulars of the show already know that we here at the Brotherhood of Gaming has always and forever will be honest on our opinions when it comes to games, movies, or what the hell ever. And unfortunately, if you don't like it, well, there's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out.
Now, I didn't know anything about Dying Light. I didn't even follow the hype. I didn't even know it existed before this game literally showed up at my door. And I have completed the game. I stayed on it to be sure of what I was doing because, well, that's my job and I gotta make sure. I even streamed it for a while for the viewers to see what I was going up against, and it usually is a general rule for us that if we're going to review any game that we have to at least finish the story mode. And in Dying Light, I am glad that I did.
Now, I haven't really had a negative to mixed opinion on a game in a really long time, and I guess you could say the last game that I balls out hated was Survival Instinct, which, my god. But yeah, I went into this game with a completely fresh attitude. Nothing in mind, really, but you know, it really didn't take me long to start hating this game.
I mean, well, yeah, it's literally capitalizing on a genre that, in my opinion, is overplayed, been done to death, and I don't see how anybody could possibly be original with it anymore. And I'm pretty much right, as Dying Light really brings nothing new to the table. I mean, not really. It's pretty much your everyday cliche zombie story about a post-apocalyptic world, or at the very least, during it. Dying Light's exception is that it's at the brink of one, where you, among a group of survivors, try to do just that, while of course avoiding the undead and rival gang survivors who chuck all morals out the window and want to be assholes about it, while secretly the government has its own greater good plot scheming in the background, forcing our main character to constantly be on the fence about picking sides. Whew, everybody got that?
It's a very copy and paste story that you can pretty much predict every single scenario that's coming miles away. And it doesn't help that the characters in it are just not that interesting. I mean, well, some of them start to get a little more interesting, but you really gotta ride the game out for a really long time for that to start happening. Bottom line, it eventually gets interesting.
The elements from the game also aren't anything new. From word of mouth, people were comparing this game to another game I never played called Dead Island, supposedly because the same people who made this game also developed that one. And it apparently wasn't that good according to what I heard, so that's never a good sign. Dying Light's gameplay features again are kind of rinse and repeat from every horror game ever made with elements from every horror game ever made. It has what looks like a pretty exotic overworld with wide lands to traverse and explore as the zombies and days shift in real time. And for the first 2 minutes, it's actually interesting to look at, but it was stunning how boring it got. And that pretty much summed up the whole game right there. It's boring. Regardless of chests and little treasures you can find on somewhat rare occasions, there's no real drive to want to explore or look at them. Granted, surviving the hordes of zombies to even have room for exploration is a whole different issue. I should really talk about the elements in the game, and while yes, rinse and repeat, they are worth noting. One feature is the game pointing out the ability to climb virtually anything for quick escapes or maneuverability. Not a bad feature, to be honest. Not terribly new, but it's new territory at the very least that I haven't seen much. Sometimes in a pinch, it doesn't work, or it's a little too ambiguous what you can and can't grab, but it does work, most of the time. Also, there's the crafting system, which, well, you can guess what to make, like health kits, weapon repairs, and the like. Oh, and that's actually one problem many of these games have. The weapons break way too easily.
Okay, now I understand things like wooden planks and wooden table legs. Yeah, those things would eventually break with enough abuse. However, any item that's related to steel, such as crowbars or sledgehammers or even this thing right here, this should be more than well enough to handle any situation you would likely go up against in an apocalypse or whatever. These things do not break with just minimal use on slamming people's heads in. It's really so stupid. It's like they're trying to put elements into the game to make it feel more realistic, but out of inconvenience, take away the ones that are pretty much full of common sense.
The game also admittedly isn't that masterfully built, as I've run into quite a few glitches. Nothing ultimately game-breaking, well, maybe say for one, But I've walked through walls, seen a ton of texture popping. Now for me, this isn't a huge deal, but I know a lot of elitists out there who really despise this type of laziness. One glitch I found particularly useful was being able to duplicate my strongest melee weapon, never having to run out of it, and also selling them for more money than I needed. And while the visuals at a distance can look kinda beautiful, the characters look very bland and emotionless. And again, there's just no drive or excitement to want to get involved, invested, or engaged in the world at all. Or in my case, until the near end of the game where the plot manages to pick up dramatically. The overworld is your kind of run-of-the-mill where you can access safe houses, do missions for people, and wander for hours if you wanted. But some of these missions feel like a big chore that you probably won't feel like doing, however some wield good benefits like upgraded weaponry and crafts. The zombies? Oh god, these guys are a whole different mess. Now, I get it. It's trying to play on the survival aspect, where you're encouraged to run and not get swarmed because, let's face it, you're not Red Brown. However, I learned that there's not much consequence for dying. Sure, you lose a few points to upgrade, but ultimately you quickly respawn. It's trial and error. That's the name of the game. During the story itself, you're gonna be rewarded the proper points to upgrade anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The zombies, in my opinion, take way too much abuse. And they also dish out far more than I think that they should be able to. Granted, there are some zombie variations with harsher abilities, that's fine, but there are areas that are above challenging to a class that I call stupid hard.
You know those parts in a certain video game out there that you guys might have heard of or played, where you die, but then the game respawns you in an area that the game would deem appropriate, but at the same time it happens to be the worst place possible because every enemy sees you and they're about to just nail your ass because the game decided it just wanted to be a dick like that?
Now, as a plus, with all of the crafts you can make, there are numerous ways to deal with stressful situations of zombies, leaving lots of room for the player to be creative in how they choose to explore the world and handle the hordes of foes that they will no doubt face. So while the odds are against you, you're not entirely defenseless. As you get very far in the game, and with the level up experiences that you will no doubt get, the player definitely gets a lot of needed improvement, but I found it just kinda sad that you didn't have these from the start, as they would have made the opening and the first few acts a lot more tolerable. I guess the best way to sum it up is that there is just way too much bullshit to go through before the game becomes good. By now, you probably think I hate this game to death, right? Well, no, I don't. I admit that for literally half the game I couldn't get invested, but the more I played it and leveled up, I was getting stronger and capable of doing more, which improved my desire to keep playing a little more. And while the game as a whole is nothing to write home about, it was at least better than I thought it was gonna be. I just don't think it lives up to the hype that it apparently had started.
And so, here comes my arbitrary number. I give The Dying Light for the PlayStation 4 a 7 out of 10. Now, there is a good game within this little box, but it really depends on how much abuse you want to take as a player in order to find it. Now, if you want my opinion on whether it's worth $60 or full price, guys, I do not believe it is. Like, it's okay, but at the same time, we're just treading the same territory, we're treading the same ground. It's just another zombie game with an interesting little quirkiness to it. So, if you guys like zombies, you guys have already made up your mind. But if you're looking for a good time with a game, then you can definitely wait for this one to drop down in price a little. Honestly, you're not missing anything new. Well, guys, there you have it. There's my opinion on the Dying Light video game for the PlayStation 4. That's the review. That's how it goes. If you like my opinion, please share and like, subscribe, and all of that stuff. The links will be at the end of the video. Be sure to check them out. It's full of awesome, good stuff. You're going to love it. If you didn't like my opinion and you didn't like the video, please feel free to use the comment section to hate on me and bash me and call me a whole bunch of slurs, because that's pretty much all it's good for. And, well, keep on hating haters. Anyway, have a good night, y'all. Phew, finally, it's over. I mean, I know it was interesting and all, but I am so done with the zombie scene. It's been done to death. I want to move on. I don't want to play any more games that are related to zombies. What the hell am I reviewing next?